My name is Alberto Zambon. I'm an associate professor of medicine at the University of Padua in Italy, when I did my medical school and postdoctoral training. I completed my postdoctoral training in Seattle in the US. In my outpatient lipid clinic, I see a number of patients that give me a lot of satisfactions in terms of therapy when I use more than one lipid-lowering agents, particularly statin and fibrate and fenofibrate specifically. It comes to my mind the case of a patient that came to me last year. 3 months after myocardial infarction, he was discharged by the ICU with 40 milligrams of atorvastatin. The patient had diabetes, well-controlled diabetes, young patients, physically active, proper diet, lean, fit, very fit. So he came to me because he had a nicely controlled LDL cholesterol for his cardiovascular risk. The LDL cholesterol was around 1.8 or 70 milligrams per deciliter. But his triglyceride levels were 389 milligrams per deciliter, so roughly, I guess, 3.54 millimoles per liter. So I wrote a letter to the cardiologist and I told him, well, you may consider adding fenofibrate for these patients because LDL is properly controlled, but triglycerides are elevated. And in this case, we know the chances of getting extra cardiovascular events is particularly high, what we call high residual cardiovascular risk. Well, the patients went back to the cardiologist. The cardiologist didn't believe much. He probably didn't know what fenofibrate was because he thought it was a problem of a statin dose. So 3 months later, the patients come back to my outpatient clinic, no fenofibrate added, but in this case, this time, 80 milligrams of atorvastatin. So he doubled the dose of atorvastatin. The bottom line, he showed me the profile. LDL cholesterol was 1.6, so well below 70, farther better controlled. Triglyceride levels went from 389 to 340, 342, if I remember correctly, so way above the appropriate levels. So I wrote again the letter and said, look, you may add whatever statins you want. You may even add ezetimibe to these patients. You're not going to fix the problem of high triglycerides. Try fenofibrate. So sent him back. This time, I guess, the cardiologist believed me. He added fenofibrate. So 6 months later, I saw these patients again. LDL once again properly controlled with 80 milligrams of atorvastatin, and with fenofibrate this time triglyceride went from 340 to 155. So at the end of the day, we had statin, we had fenofibrate, and full control of the lipid profile in these patients with diabetes.